Hi, Leo. All right, we will be talking about the transit of Saturn from 2025 till 2027. There is a collective reading. I don't know if I'll post it here or down below. Watching that is highly suggested, as it's going to give you more of an overall view of what's happening in a foundational sense as well as collectively. If you want to go there, again, highly suggested. Now, let's go over a few things. So, I know some of you follow tropical. Most of you follow tropical, which would put Saturn in Pisces now and then moving into Aries. I'm looking at it, what's happening in the sky, because this is the emotional place, right? Regardless of what we're doing. Although it all lines up, it doesn't matter. And I actually see most of you should watch the Cancer. Oh, I should tell everybody that. Hold on. So, like, if you watched Cancer Rising, Cancer's reading for this, and combination of this one, full picture. One will kind of be more of what you're feeling, and the other one will be more of what you're doing. And hopefully we can find a place where these two things meld together, right? It's kind of like the head and the heart come together, and we find a knowing. Our belief becomes more solid. That's Saturn and Pisces too. Now for you, Leo rising, this will be in your 8th house. You and Libra are the only two that have a quincunx or an inconjunct. That's how you spell quincunx. It's 150 degrees. It looks like this. We talk about this aspect quite a bit, like a little seesaw. For those of you who are learning, this aspect is, every sign has two of these, two quincunxes. And what it creates is what's called a blind spot. Now we have there's little blind spots in our map. We have little blind spots, and then we have two big ones, where it's just like things that are really hard for us to see. Again, it's like when you're driving, you're like, but I didn't see that car. I tried to change lanes. It's right there. Ah! That may be, for some of you, and maybe this is a little bit more collectively, but for some of you, there could be some things that are a little jarring like that. But I heard you got back in your lane, you recorrected fine. You just got it was a little jarring for a second. And so maybe that's how this time as we enter, it enters on March 29th, 2025, on the eclipse. It coincides with the eclipse, which, mind you, I just got to mention this because it's mind-blowing. Neptune is there. Saturn is entering there. Venus is there, Mercury, the Sun, the Moon, and the North Node, or Rahu. That is 7 planets in Pisces, in the sky. That is a lot going on in your 8th house, honey. So there could be some really big things with this transit, especially in relation to your marriage, in relation to other people's money, in relation to your extended family. I would say specifically, you'd want to make sure that your taxes are in order. You're not doing anything shady there. I wouldn't try to do anything, like, don't try to cut any corners when it comes to sex, death, and taxes. Okay, hold on. Now, 8th house is a really big house. And again, Saturn will be here for 2 years and 3 months. So he will enter on, again, the 29th of March until March 2025 till June 2027. If you happen to have any planets in Pisces, this is going to be extra strong for you, something to be aware of. Particularly if you have Pisces moon. You will be going through something which is called sadasati. If you have Pisces moon, just say down bottom, comment like, I have Pisces moon. And I will share with you the remedies and a little bit of my experience with that, more of the remedies, because I went through that and it can be very depressing. It can make you feel like you're losing your mind, kind of. Just saying, if you happen to have particularly Pisces moon. Now, if you do have any planets there, what's going to happen is the closer the Saturn gets to a planet in ways of a transit, it creates stress, right? He's pushing. He's like, here I am, here I am. Hi. He creates stress. You can feel it, right? You're like, this is heavy, this is getting heavy, this is getting closed in. Some things could be coming to a close like that. But once so here's Saturn coming at a planet, right? Then it connects, and then as Saturn moves on, the stress alleviates, and you actually get, usually he will give a gift after that stress. It's kind of like, you guys have been working wicked hard today. Like, you've been working great. We did awesome on this project. Here, I'm buying everybody dinner. I'm giving everybody a little bit of bonus in their check. You know, it's that kind of thing. Like, Saturn never, in my opinion, never ignores someone's hard work. Okay, so wherever you've been putting that in, and wherever you will be putting that matters. Chirp, chirp. Chirp, chirp. Hi, Muffin. Hi, honey. You gonna come for the Leo reading? Yeah. Come here. She's Pisces rising. Come here. All right. Cats don't do what you ask. If you are married right now, you could not be feeling so sexual with Saturn in the 8th house. Not to say you can't, people can't feel that way when this is happening, but usually with a transit, it's gonna kind of block that a little bit. People may be finding, maybe finding more of their spiritual space in a way. It might be like, I'm not having sex, I'm putting more energy into prayer. Saturn and Pisces. This could also be where your spouse is quitting alcohol or you are quitting alcohol, if you happen to be involved in that way. Muffin. You silly. Getting serious about money is a thing, for sure. 8th house is, in a sense, like other people's money. So it goes to show, like, kind of what comes to you, and then that, like, gets deposited into your 2nd house of finances, right? But part of how that comes usually is because we have to sacrifice something. Like, I work for you. I give you something. You give me a paycheck. You give me money. I put it in my bank account. There has to be, again, like a sacrifice or a trade about it. Saturn and Pisces both speak about sacrifice and trade. It also speaks of being of service to those who are in need. So for some of you, this could be where potentially, again, it could be your spouse is maybe not feeling very well or having a hard time financially. If that's the case, you may have to hold, that may be a stress between you. So the other may have to hold more of that responsibility. And again, that could be a strain on the relationship. So there might be something that you want to think about. For some of you Leo risings, you could be changing your job. Or again, you or your spouse, because it's sextiling this, could be changing something about that. Um, this could also be health issues or people that are in your extended family. Saturn, to me, although they say the sun is the father, I see Saturn as the father also. So for some of you, this could be where perhaps this doesn't account for all things like as an equation, but like sometimes Saturn in the eighth can potentially give an inheritance, or where a family member completes their life cycle, and Pisces, they go on to Jesus, or like they go on to heaven. So some of you may be preparing for that. I'd also say that I don't know. I guess this could be later in life. You could be younger. Most of you are my age or a little older. We're all in a similar scope here. But this could be writing your will. Um, if money is tight, because Uranus moves in March also, like a week before this Saturn enters Pisces. And that's going to be entering into your 10th house, which is about your occupation and your career. So all you'd really have to do is like tell somebody, you call on the phone and be like, hey, are you hiring? Or maybe you hear about something on the radio, or some kind of communication comes through, and all of a sudden there may be like a really big change. Now, something to note, as we're focusing in on Saturn. Saturn rules over 2 houses in your map, in everyone's map. He rules over Capricorn and Aquarius. So your 6th house, 7th house, and 8th house. I have a map. Oops, you want to see? I have a map down here that I'm looking at. Your 6th house, 7th house, and 8th house are all highlighted. Did I do that right? There. So this is actually, for you, Leo, could have a lot to do with work. This is also the health of the other people in your life. You could be concerned about that. You could be concerned about like the health of your partner. Maybe it's the spiritual health. It doesn't have to be physical health, emotional health, mental health, physical health. It's all of them. It's like the health of I just looked down and saw the word father. So for some of you, this is very significant in relation to that. Or you're tapping more into your father's line. Saturn in Pisces to me is it feels like the father's line in some kind of way. I guess for some of you, you could be going towards Tantra. Like finding different ways to be intimate with people that aren't exactly physical. And if it is physical, it wants to be spiritual. Okay. I do see other people being of service to you from May, especially once we get into May 2025. I would say by your birthday, by August. I think that's when things are finally like more moving for you. This could be collective too, but specifically I see it's again May, June, or June, July, August. I think, remember, July for you is always a resting time. Okay? Spend time with your mother. Spend time, at home or in the garden, things like that. Like take some time, try to take a little time off of work, especially Leo rising, a little bit in, it could be potentially like, all right, I'm going to go see my mom and take care of her, like help her with some stuff. Or I'm going to go see my auntie, I'm going to go see my grandma. You know, things like that. It's also a time to honor your ancestors, particularly of the feminine. Because I know Saturn has been really hard, especially Leo rising. Saturn has been kicking your butt, right? In ways of your energy, and not that you haven't been doing good. It's not about that. But it's been, I bet it's been, I would say, confusing. And you've probably been trucking kind of hard to just keep afloat. And I'm seeing someone like really rowing a boat. It's like I'm rowing, but it was like going, it kind of, to me, it felt like we were going upstream. You know, it's like we just floated past, and then we're like, oh crap, we're farther than we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be back there. And it's like, all right, I guess I'm gonna just try to get back there. And you couldn't stop. I feel like you couldn't stop. This feels more past energy than now. It's just something to reference. I feel like a person realized this, kept rowing. They're like, I gotta row because I don't have an anchor. If I don't anchor right now and I stop rowing, then I'm going to go way downstream and be even farther away from the thing that I want to be close to, where I want to be. But what's beautiful is with Saturn and Pisces, that's exactly what it is to me. Is Saturn is the, Pisces is the sea, and Saturn is the anchor. And so you can put your anchor down and at least finally take a rest. You may still have to with this quincunx, just like Libra. With this quincunx, you may have to sort of row upstream a little bit. I mean, of course, you could abandon ship if you want to. That's also an option. You know, if something isn't working anymore, and that's you're allowed to change. Remember, all the fixed signs have a really hard time naturally in making big changes. But you, to me, Leo, are the way out of the fixed energy and ways of change, because what you say to yourself is you recognize what you want. And you realize the only way to get what you want is to make some changes. Now, this doesn't have to be change in who you are. It could be, maybe I need to change my job. Maybe I need to change where I live. And because you change where you live, you change your job. I mean, luckily for you, oh, I didn't mention that for Virgo. Hold on. Just a minute. Luckily for you, this isn't on an angle. You know, because again, the last 2 years, I feel like has really, it created a lot of stress for all of the fixed rising signs. And you know what? Uranus entering into Taurus, which is another angle for you. It's going to be right on your MC. So I feel like, this isn't a word that I use, but I heard somebody say it. It's like you're going to get a lot of downloads. You know, it's like God's really going to be talking to you. So I definitely would give some quiet time for listening. You know, maybe it might even be, didn't we mention that? Like listening to podcasts or listening, maybe it's this reading again here or something like that. Something through those kind of waves really come through. It's helpful to you. Because I see God wants you to have faith in your abilities. Virgo talked about that too. And especially from 2025, all through 2025 until September, Vesta is in your 4th house, trining this energy in Scorpio. Vesta is about dedication and devotion. Saturn is about dedication and devotion. Saturn being in Pisces, Pisces is exalted through the energy of Venus. Venus is about dedication and devotion. Basically, Saturn's asking all of us collectively, like, what are we devoted to? Or what do we want to be devoted to? and why? Having a prayer space at home, maybe you really want to pray. You know, honestly, Leo, I feel like it could be a little jarring where you're like, I'm going to do something really differently, really quickly. Like, because Saturn finally got away from looking at you, right? Staring you down. Again, these last 2 years, grilling you, right? Standing over your shoulder, everything that you do. I mean, some of you really felt it. I mean, I have Vesta and Leo, so it even blocked some of my, what I had been devoted and dedicated to. It really made me question it. But I always tend to pick up on astrological transits weirdly, like earlier, like 6 months earlier or a year earlier. And then by the time it's happening for everybody, it's like I've already processed it, sort of. It's not necessarily a gift. It's kind of a curse because I don't understand what's going on. Because during that time, I'll check what's happening presently, and I'm like, wait, this doesn't match up with how I'm feeling. And it's because it doesn't have to do with now. It has to do with the future. Does this make sense? So, dedicating some time for family, extended, personal, who you live with, that kind of thing, definitely needed. Because again, if the houses that are ruled by Saturn, which is your 6th house, 7th house, and 8th house, this could be all work energy. Plus Uranus going in your 10th house, work energy. This is all like that kind of world. So I guess if you've been doing too much of that, Saturn also wants you, again, to put your anchor down. Maybe it's partially until September. And when that happens, then you have some sort of creative force that comes in, or you're finally like, yes, now I understand a little, like, more about what I'm supposed to do. There could also be a really beautiful opportunity that comes to you during that time. Other people are definitely of service to you. Because you're going to have Jupiter going through your house of your wider circles, which coincide with your dreams and wishes. It's not just your dreams and wishes, though. It's the things that you dream and wish for in this life that you want that you want. It might even be like a childhood dream. But this also helps other people, though. That's the 11th house. And with Jupiter there from May, again, 2025 till May 2026, there's going to be some people that want to help you to achieve your dreams and goals, and or you're going to come across other people who have the same dreams and goals in mind. Not only as an individual, again, in a sort of self-focused way, but really it's like it's our dream versus just mine. Do you know what I mean? But you, especially Leo rising, you have to watch your health, because in this, Pluto's in your 6th house for another 10 years. Let's read that, because I feel like this is something that you just this isn't meant to scare you, because it's a long transit and it's slow, so it's fine. But you want to be, okay, look. It says, be very careful of your health under this transit. During the years, you are likely to overstrain yourself physically and pay inadequate attention to your body's needs. Also, for years, you may have had a physical condition that you haven't considered worth attending to. Some of you, this could be your teeth, it could be your bones, what have you. He also rules over the spleen. He rules many things. Capricorn. So it says, but now it may reach a critical point that you have to do something about it. It says, at its most severe, this transit can produce a complete physical breakdown. But this is likely only if you completely ignore your health needs as mentioned above, so this problem can be easily avoided. Now, I feel like this is important. It says this transit, again, we're talking about Pluto through the 6th, which is going to sextile this energy, right? Saturn's like, pay attention. Maybe for some of you, this is like, all right, hereditarily, my family deals with a lot of stress or alcoholism or certain kinds of diseases. Okay, I have a susceptibility to that. I want to make sure that I don't deal with that, you know? Maybe it's just workaholics in the family. I don't know. But it says, in fact, this transit can also indicate complete physical regeneration if you adopt a careful physical regime now. You can rebuild your body even if you have neglected it in previous years. It's a good time to take up yoga or a similar physical, spiritual body culture, which is totally Saturn in Pisces. So it doesn't have to be something intense like, I'm going to go to the gym. You know, that kind of, I need to run 10 miles a day. You don't have to be harsh. Right? It could be, maybe it's swimming. Maybe you just go down to the Y or like, I don't know, and like swim. You know, it's these slower movements. Capricorn is slow. It's ruled by Saturn again. It says this is also a good time to examine your diet and how your body reacts to what it's taking in. If necessary, change your diet for one. If necessary, change your diet so that it is more suitable to your individual needs. And it may be one of those things. Like, I'll give an example. As I've been fasting lately, I guess, I don't know if I mentioned this, I think I did, but I've been fasting lately, which happens to be weirdly connected to you, but, and then I ate. Like, once a week I can eat a little bit if I want to, like more of a full meal. And I ate like a salad with a little chicken on it and some vegetables. I didn't eat a lot of the meat because I hadn't been eating any. But after I ate that, I was like, the amount that I ate and what I ate, I was like, oh, that didn't sit very good with me. And then I went over, I was like, what was in that salad? So it says, be careful of fad diets that assume everyone's needs to be identical or that they are based solely on religious principles with little scientific backup. You know, I guess it's one of those things, like say you feel like you're overweight or you're out of shape. It's like with Saturn, nothing happens overnight, right? If we get a little bit flabby, it's like we get a little bit overweight. It's easy to put on weight. It is way harder to take it off. And we have to, Saturn, constantly put something into it, right? Doing yoga once on one day, you're going to feel more fluid, right? Stretching one day. But if you want to build strength, you want to build muscle where it's weak, right? Build it stronger where it's weak. You got to do it a little bit every day, but it's not just the exercise of it, right? Like I learned the other day, somebody told me this saying, which I thought was cool. It's like the stomach or like the abs. Hey, be nice. They're not made, what do you say? They're made in the kitchen. It's like what we eat makes our belly. Not necessarily, you know, you could do all the sit-ups in the world, but if you're not eating right, you're not going to get abs. You know what I mean? Or you're not going to get a flatter belly. Because it says a poor diet can lead to a physical breakdown at this time. As this also connects again to the house of work, which we mentioned, these three houses, 6, 7, 8, have a lot to do with houses, with work houses. It says that work can also very much affect your health. So some of you might just be going too hard there. Or again, maybe there's some, because it says you can expect great changes in your work, possibly a complete change of job or even career. Now, it says this may be a difficult period of tension because Pluto creates tension with people in your job, particularly your bosses. And it says if this kind of tension arises, it's probably best to get another job. You may actually change jobs frequently as you cast about for the proper situation. It could take up to several years to find it, but when Pluto gets near the end of this house, you probably will. So for some of you, it could be, because Uranus has been in your 9th house for the last 7 years, right? From 2018 to 2025. So whatever you've been learning about, whatever you've been doing for work, it could still apply to a different job. But maybe some of you, for instance, you could decide to go to school or start learning something different. Not all of you, it has to be this huge, dramatic change, because Pluto, for instance, I hope you're following, Pluto, for instance, still has another 10 years to go. He's got another decade in change. So it could be one of those things where some of you now, as an example, could decide to go back to school and go get your master's. You know, that takes years upon, it takes at least, 8 years to get a master's. So it might be one of those things where, I guess you can do it when you're older, but especially if you're younger, you could do that. Or it could be where the job that you're doing now, if it's suiting to you and it is healthy to you, it might be where maybe you're just changing the schedule. Or maybe there's just obligations where, again, it's I have to take care of my family. Right? Because Leo rising, if it isn't this transit, the next 2 years, within the next 4 years, not to scare any of you, but within the next 4 years, there could be a likelihood that either one of your parents will pass. Again, they're getting older. Or you might have to take care of them. So that might be some of the driving force is responsibility, right? I need to do this not only to take care of myself because I need to take care of you, but maybe I need to take care of my physical world too, so that, again, I can be responsible for what I'm responsible for. Interesting. Ricky. Muffin, you punking him? I like that the cats are so active in the Leo. Yeah, Muffin's gonna punk him. He laid down and then she attacked. His claws are bigger than hers, though. Although hers are sharper. She just bit his face and then licked his eyeball. It's weird. Cats are so weird. You're so weird. I love it. Okay, so let's see in closing. Your psychic ability, your otherworldliness, your imagination, that may also be taking new form. Or becoming more structured, I also see a person's becoming more resistant to bullshit. Awesome. Okay. I guess I'm going to say that's that. I hope this was helpful. I hope this inspired you some way or broadened your horizons in how you're going to be looking. And remember, this is a 2-year process, so like there's no need to feel super stressed to make any major changes right here, right now. Although I will say that probably over the next 2 years, some of you may move house again or change jobs, or there's something about your job. It's that 4th, 10th house axis. Uranus is going to shake it or change it. And, you know, again, if you realize, like, you know, this isn't working for me, or I don't feel like this is right, again, it could be your boss situation, it could be the money, it could be the way that it affects your body. You know, some of you, again, are working way too many hours. Or again, the energy just isn't efficient. And that's also what Saturn wants. Because I would say for most of you, you're going to be tired around 4 o'clock. Like in 2025, you're going to be tired around 4. In 2026, you're going to be tired around 3 o'clock. In 2027, when this closes out, you're going to be tired around 2. Or you're going to need to take a break on those times. You know, maybe that's a part of it, is you're figuring out more of a schedule that works for you. And also having, because Saturn is about reliability, you know, and security, and therefore comfort. So yep. And I see that is possible for you. So please don't forget to rest. And also remember, the moon will go through Pisces every month. It usually sits in a sign for 2 days. So for 2 days a month, this one's kind of strong for you in the 8th house. You could be feeling like weirdly, everyone will probably feel weirdly depressed or off or confused, or again, just overly tired. Like you know, when you're like so exhausted, you just sit on the couch and then you like take a nap and you're like, holy, I didn't even realize I fell asleep. That will probably happen like 2 days a month. So I'll try to, or remind me if I don't put it specifically, like what days those are, if you don't have your own moon calendar, because that's also like a mini Sarasati. I would also say that dreams could be really interesting. Okay, that's that. I hope this was helpful. Please take care. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you next time.